We're facing a real tough and physical football team this week that's well coached. The quarterback is playing at an extremely high level. Two outstanding running backs in Irvin and White that can change the game at any moment. And, of course, in my opinion, a future Hall of Fame receiver. We have to do a great job, unlike last week, in stopping the run. That's first and foremost. We got to get back to where we were the first week, gap control, controlling the line of scrimmage, penetrating, and linebackers playing downhill. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Was there one thing or something specific you noticed between the two games?
I wouldn't say anything in particular. Everything we do starts up front. And we got to do a great job every week in controlling the line of scrimmage. And I thought we did that against Pittsburgh. The word that I talked about to the players is consistency. And that's what needs to show up each and every week. When you look at what I consider to be our nemesis, third down, which equates to penalties. First week, you're talking about 3rd and 10 twice on the first drive. And we allow our opponent to be able to get out of that. When you work that hard on first and second down to create those guys to get behind the sticks, we got to get off the field. And, playing tough against Buffalo, that first drive, and we get roughing the passer, extend the drive there, and then all of a sudden we get a holding penalty. Those are the things that we talked about that we got to make sure that we're more disciplined, that we can go out and execute.
How do you manage that aggressiveness, but also, you want to be smart at the same time?
I think it's a fine line. I really do, because that's really our DNA. That's our mantra. That's what we talk about, being physical. But we also got to be smart in understanding that, we went into the game plan all week. We know that there's certain calls that 17 gets, and there's certain things that we can't do at a certain time. And we just got to be ready to pull up at that moment.
It seems like over-pursuit was one of the issues last week. How much of that could be a function of players still getting comfortable with the new scheme?
I don't really think it's let me say this. I don't think anything in the first 2 weeks has been schematically. I think, again, and I think I talked about this day one, like the fundamentals. And to me, when you talk about over-pursuit, that's fundamental. We got to make sure that we're chasing the near hip. We can't be following the same color jersey, and that's really what happened on the cutback touchdown run. And to be honest, looking at it from an evaluation from a coach perspective and the player, it should have never gotten out if we would have executed the stunt that we ran up front. So those things that we know right now, as a lot of respect to the opponents, but a lot of what we're seeing right now is self-inflicted, and those are things that we have to correct.
You talked about the challenge of playing against Baker Mayfield, but just what is the challenge of playing these receivers, Mike Evans, and also Ibuka as well?
Ibuka, man, you're talking about a rookie that has really just, to me, has stepped up and taken the reins. And along with Mike Evans, it's going to be a tough task, but I know our guys are going to be up for it. I know Sauce is excited about playing in this game as well as B. Stevens.
What do you think makes Baker so tough?
Just really his demeanor. I was with him in Cleveland. I had him in Carolina. He's a tough physical guy, resilient, smart, and he's a spark plug that gets those guys going.
You just alluded to this a minute ago with the penalties, the roughing on Michael in that spot on 3rd and 19. He's had that in the past with some personal fouls. How do you coach that with him, and how much does that test your patience as a coach?
The one thing that we've talked about from day one is understanding that we got to surrender the individual me for the bigger we. It's about the team. And I think Michael was completely on board. Again, I think that was a situation that at the last second, he was there. He wished he could have pulled up. But we don't want to take his aggressive play away. We just got to make sure that we're smart.
What did you see from Malachi Moore last week against the Bills?
I've said from day one when you guys asked me about him, Malachi is going to be a good football player for us. Again, very highly intelligent, can play multiple positions, understands the game from analyzing and looking at the offense and then being able to anticipate certain things. So if he's in there this week, I don't have a problem that he's going to be able to get his job done.
You talked last week, I think you said that James Cook has one run ability. What do you see from these two backs?
Great contact balance once they get out in space. These guys probably have a high percentage, I know from analytics, for his yardage at the contact, breaking tackles. So we got to get population to the ball, 11 heads to the ball, and this guy's never down. They do a tremendous job out in space. They're a big string team, probably about 3 or 4 games, so they're going to show up all areas of the field. So we got to do a good job getting population to the football.
Do you like what Briggs has given you guys? And also, how important is the rotation up front this week when you're going down to Tampa and it's expected to be 90 degrees that heat?
That is not going to, what I always say, don't let it be a factor. It was extremely hot this past week, believe it or not, here at the game. So we got to go out there and execute, and the weather's not going to be an issue for us. We do love the rotation up front. Joe Warren has been a major plus for us, as well as Harrison. So those guys continue to play consistently well up front, being able to, give Q that ability to not always get double teamed. So I like those guys and what they're doing.